Another week in the books for college football, but we're going to go back, take a gander, and see what draft eligible prospects helped their stock and hurt their stock. Welcome to the Stock Report, and what's crack-a-lackin'? It's your boy Broshmo, just in case you did not know. So go ahead, become bro and subscribe. Leave this video a thumbs up if you enjoy the content as always. Let me know what you think in the comment section below, where we have that nice, beautiful football discourse. Let's get this sucker underway with Jihad Jordan out of Louisville, coming in 5'10", 185, had a big game against Duke where he ran for over 160 yards, had 2 tutties. Love to see it, love to see it. And the first thing that sticks out about this cat is speed. He's got speed for days. He gets the second level, he might take it to the house. And I was going back looking at basically his recruiting background, where he's come from, because to me he was kind of a new name. And no, I mean, okay, at the season opener, I was like, okay, maybe this guy I'm gonna watch later, but haven't really gotten around to actually watching his stuff till recently. And I like to do the backgrounds on these guys, just see again what their path here was. And he was formerly a 3-star recruit from the 2019 class, up in coming from Hamilton High School, Chandler, Arizona, just a little bit north of me. But he was also a sprinter back in high school. Couldn't tell. But he initially went to Syracuse, which I found very interesting. I was like, okay. Guy was at Syracuse for a couple of years, redshirt his freshman year, and then he was actually the initial starter in 2020 for the first 3 games, but unfortunately had a season-ending knee injury, and that's when Sean Tucker came up and emerged as kind of like the head back there. So he would decide to transfer after the season, where at Louisville 2021, played in the final 3 games as a rotation player, but last season's where he actually got started like getting some starting time, where he had 7 starts, 13 played in all 13 games. He was heavily utilized in the rotation. He was even the primary kick returner for the Cardinals. But this year, he's outdone himself. He's already eclipsed what he did last season. And again, you love the explosiveness, you love the speed, but despite that smaller frame at 5'10", 185, he's actually got decent, like solid, like bulk on his lower body. Like he's got good contact balance, like legitimately does. He runs low. He's able to get through arm tackles. He has a skill set that would at least make him a dangerous pass catcher. And he's got return experience, which always makes you draftable at that point. However, he is one of the oldest prospects in this class. He will be 25 when he is drafted. Or when he starts his rookie year. He's got that birthday in August. So one of the older prospects, not that I care too much about that when it comes to, I guess, the running back class. I mean, is he a guy that could come in and start in the road? Again, I'm more concerned about the size, because that lack of bulk, it's going to make him not an every down back, and you're going to look at him more as a committee guy, a guy that kind of has to fit a stereotype. Like, okay, you're our speed back, you're our scat back, but having that return capabilities does help him a ton. Despite the skill set that could be used very well as a pass catcher, has not been used in the passing game a ton. Matter of fact, he's actually never been a good pass protector. So at that point, you're like, okay, what does that limit him to? Just kind of like can't be used on pass plays? I don't think that's necessarily true, but I finally got around to Jordan here. And he was fun. He certainly was fun. Adds a little flavor to this running back class. And we're actually going to stick at the running back position. And we're going to be talking about Frank Gore Jr. out of Southern Miss. The name should sound familiar because his daddy is former NFL running back Frank Gore. That's right. Former 3-star recruit here in Frank Gore Jr. Ends up going to Southern Mississippi, Southern Miss. Had a really good game against Appalachian State, like a really good game. He ran for over 252 yards and 2 touchdowns. Now, I really hope that, I'm thinking he might not come out this year. He might end up deciding to transfer after the season. But he was almost immediately a starter there at Southern Miss. He started the final 7 games of his freshman season, and he has started every game since. So you're gonna have a lot of mileage on this guy, a lot of not a lot of tread left on the tires. He has 666 career carries. You could even add an extra 61 receptions if you want just to add that to the touch total. So that's over 700 touches. So that's a lot. That's a lot. And it's not like he's playing with great size, 5'8", 195. Like, you love the center of gravity, and he actually absorbs hits relatively well. But like, smaller frame, and you're going to be afraid that he can't match NFL power. So you're going to think the contact balance won't be nearly as good as, or at least at the next level. But he's got some good foot quickness to him. The stop-start ability is pretty solid. He's pretty darn elusive, and just in general, just dangerous with the ball in his hands. Never been really used much in the passing game. Like last year, he had a decent total in the passing game, but it just hasn't been something that Southern Miss has, I think, utilized well with him. And I mean, it's great to see him dominate lesser competition. Like, but you go back and look how he's done against. Go back and just look how he's done against Power 5 schools. Like, they took on Florida State earlier this year, 11 carries, 31 yards. Even if Tulane, arguably one of the better group of 5 schools, 13 carries, 16 yards. So it's like, well, that's not that appealing. But I think he's better than that. I kind of hope he does return, but decide to transfer. Because I would love to see him at a different program. Maybe a more successful program. Listen, I know you love the NFL draft as much as I do, and you're going to want a nice hefty watch list of players during this college football season. Well, go ahead, check out my draft guide. You can purchase it for only $30 by Venmoing or PayPaling me. Links in the description. It's a one-time payment, and you get it for this whole draft cycle and forever and always. Technically, it's a Google spreadsheet, so send me your email when you send the payment. I'll get you hooked up. You will see my current prospect rankings and big board, my full evals, and guess what? It updates throughout the whole draft cycle. So it's a great purchase, and it's a great way to support the channel. Next, I want to talk about Xavier Worthy, and this is actually going to be kind of a stock down for me. Because, well, first off, coming in at 6'1", 172. Didn't do much in the receiving game, but had a 74-yard punt return for a touchdown. So you love to see it. But this is the thing with him, man. You love the speed. He's always playing on fast forward, quick feet. Just, again, great athlete with legit hops. Can contest the catch point. However, you don't love the size, but it's not the end-all, be-all. Again, the wide receiver position is kind of getting smaller at the NFL level. But this dude's drop rate, the most puzzling drops. He had 3 drops in this game against BYU on 10 targets. Like, woof. The after the catch ability, too. We saw it go down last year. It's back up this year. 10 forced missed tackles on 44 receptions. So you love seeing that. But I don't know, man. Speed I feel like can only do so much. I think I would rather just bet on him on day 2. I just don't see him going in the first round. I get it. The speed's very alluring. But I'd rather bet on him somewhere maybe in the second round. That's kind of where I'm at with Xavier Worthy. But hey, man, he brings that return ability. You gotta love that. But from here on out, we're gonna be solely talking about the defense on this list, because I feel like the defense kind of gets overshadowed in this class, just because the offensive portion of this class is really good. But we're going to be talking about Braylon Trice. Kind of had the breakout game this week. 16 pressures for 2 sacks. And just nutty performance. This is the dominant performance he really needed. He was starting to come on the last couple of weeks. 11 pressures the last 2 weeks. But, man, this was really kind of a coming out game for him. Like, oh, there's the guy we saw last season. Now having 40 pressures on the year. But coming in at 6'4", 274, he was a former 3-star recruit from the 2019 class. And if you really want to get a good look into his background, check out my Edge video. He made my rankings there. But last year, he started all 12 games, was a first-team All-Pac-12, and he was looking to repeat that this season. This dude's packed on 40 pounds of muscle since arriving at Washington, and you see it, man. He packs a lot of power in his hands. He really, really does. He does a good job of turning speed into power. Strong lower body, just continues to move and grind the feet through contact. However, some of my concerns with him is I just don't think he establishes and maintains leverage well. Like, he's just not the most flexible pass rusher. That's just not him. And you just got to accept he's more powerful than he is bendy. He is very much probably a straight line athlete. The missed tackle rate it's down this year, thank goodness. So you're kind of hoping to get more from him as a run defender. And he has been a better run defender this year, but this was the breakout game for him that he needed. He was utterly dominant in this game. And we're going to stick with the edge position because I'm talking Jared Verse. This is my boy. Again, if you want to hear more on him, go check out my edge rusher video. Jared Verse, 8 pressures, 3 sacks against Wake Forest. Just dominated. Easily his best performance of the year thus far. This dude's coming in at 6'4", 260, jacked to the gill. Has probably one of the better bull rushes you'll find in this class. Does a great job of turning speed to power. He looked so much more explosive this week. The former Albany transfer, who probably could have been a top 10, top 15 pick in last year's draft, deciding to return, chasing that national championship there at Florida State. It just hasn't been that effective. Part of that could be he put on 10 pounds. He's trying to find the sweet spot for his playing weight. But he's going to need more of these performances because you look at the top of that edge class, and I mean, Latu had a really good week this week. Dallas Turner continues to just tear it up. JT Tuimoloau is starting to get hot. I mean, you can keep going down the list, man. Chris Braswell is making a name for himself opposite of Dallas Turner. Princely from Florida has just been really good this year. So it's like, you look at like the top, let's say 75 in this class, man, and it's going to be interesting to see how everyone has these guys ranked. It really, truly is. And we're going to come back to this game for a stock down a little later, but let's go ahead and move on to someone that I haven't talked about this year. We're going back to that Louisville Duke game, and it's Ashton Gillette out of Louisville. Had a massive game, 7 pressures, 2 sacks against Duke. And this was my first time really watching him, and I just wrote like a part eval. I want to go back to some of his other games before I wrap it up. So if you actually have my draft guide, you could actually you'll see that like his eval has like yellow, like it's the cell in it because it's an Excel spreadsheet. The cell in it is yellow because I'm not yet done with the eval. I want to go watch some more. Basically what I'm saying there. But coming in at 6'3", 270, Ashton Gillette. He was a 3-star recruit from the 2021 class, played both tight end and defensive end in high school, shot putted for 1 season and participated in weightlifting and went to the state championship for it. So very cool. He had 4 starts his freshman season there in 2021, and then he started all 12 games last year, and then this year he's just been a different type of animal. He really has. So he actually last season made Bruce Feldman's Freaks list for his 36-inch vert and being recorded at 20 miles per hour on the GPS. And that's kind of ridiculous for a man his size, right? And you see that get off, man. He gets off the line so quick, plays with his hair on fire, great motor. If he can't win with a good first step or powerful hands, then he's going to win it with pure hustle. And he's going to win with that second and third effort. And he's just been doing that all year for the Cardinals. He has played really all along the defensive line for Louisville, but I kind of think he probably best fits like a 5 tech or 4 inside tech. That's kind of the places I'm like, you know what? I could see him doing that. So essentially like a 3-4 end. But he does play a little tall. Doesn't always win the leverage game. And this really makes his bull rush pretty mediocre. So I think if he can get lower, because he's got the power, he's got the explosiveness to have a really scary bull rush. But right now, it's just not his best move. When playing like outside of the tackle, he struggles with run contain and just setting the edge. And I mean, the best part about this guy, he's a true junior. He doesn't have to return, like he doesn't have to come out. He can return and he'll probably end up being a high pick. But I got to go back, watch some other games with him. I'm thinking I'm probably going to go watch the Notre Dame game back and see how he did there. Because honestly, that's their best competition outside. Well, yeah, Duke and Notre Dame, that's probably the best competition they faced all year. You could also say NC State, but Notre Dame's a game I gotta go back and watch when it comes to Gillette. But I'm going back to the Florida State Wake Forest game for a stock down, and it's Kaiden Carson out of Wake Forest. He was unfortunately given the role of, hey, go stick with Keon Coleman. And Keon Coleman essentially won for the most part. He allowed 5 receptions for 55 yards and 2 touchdowns. Coming in at 6 foot, 195. He is very much a press man corner. But he was just overwhelmed by an alpha X wide receiver like Keon Coleman. He really, really was. And I mean, he was also flagged this game. He plays a style that's going to lend itself to him getting flagged a bit. Like I think he can't. Like he typically does a decent job of keeping his hands discreet, but against, but I mean, against like bigger, more physical guys, man, it seems like he has struggled. He really hasn't had the ideal season thus far this year. Like it's not been a bad year, but it's not like, oh, you're not like you start thinking about this guy more around like late 3rd, early day 3. It's kind of where you're at with him. And it was just a rough outing for him. And I mean, Keon Coleman is going to be a rough outing for let alone anybody. If you didn't know, he had a good game, really good game. That's a dude that's just every week is just improving his draft stock and just gets ever so closer to Marvin Harrison Jr. But yeah, we'll see how Carson handles the rest of the season. I mean, we'll see how it goes for him. Moving on to Xavier Watts, safety out of Notre Dame. Had a good game against Pittsburgh where he had 2 interceptions. Wild. There was actually 4 interceptions in this game. One of them went for a pick 6, but that wasn't Watts. Watts was just like, yo, I got my 2 interceptions. Someone else can go take it to the house, and they did. Coming in at 5'11", 204, and the dude has showed ball skills this season. 6 interceptions, 3 pass breakups. He has been phenomenal. Initially, and the ball skills shouldn't surprise anybody because he was initially recruited as a receiver. You look back, former 4-star recruit from the 2020 class out of Omaha, Nebraska, played wide receiver and defensive back, was largely recruited as a wide receiver. He appeared in 2 games his freshman season, and that was like the shortened year, but he was a receiver then, made the transition to safety full time, where he was mainly a special teamer in 2021, but last year he started the final 4 games of the season there for the Irish, and he started every game this season, so the ball skills shouldn't be surprising. The missed tackle rate is a bit up there, 20% missed tackle rate, so it's kind of like, but this guy's got his nose always in the action around the football. He's another guy that I don't have a full eval on just yet. probably going to go back to the USC game. I think, oh, he had 2 picks that game. Has he had a bad game this year? Hasn't allowed a touchdown this year at all. You know what? I'll probably go back to the Ohio State game, and I'll go back to the USC game. I feel like those are the games to go back to, but I'm gonna get an eval on this guy before I put out my safety rankings, which is my final rankings for my midseason rankings. So hey, we're almost there. We are almost there. All right, we're gonna actually cover some linebackers at this last part, and I'm gonna go over Edgerrin Cooper, linebacker out of Texas A&M, coming in at 6'3", 230. He was a surprise guy for me on Mel Kiper's board because I just hadn't watched him yet. He's graded out really well for PFF, so I sat down and I was like, all right, let's go ahead, let's do the eval on him. And because he also had a really good game this past weekend, South Carolina. I think Jim Nagy's already been tweeting out like this blow up on a screenplay he had where he beat 2 blockers. It was just filthy. But Cooper was initially a 4-star recruit from the 2020 class. He played running back, defensive back, and linebacker. Ended up going to Texas A&M, redshirt his freshman season in 2020. Had only 1 start in 2021, but he was heavily involved in the rotation, playing over 330 snaps, made SEC all-freshman team. And then in 2022, he had 8 starts. This year, full-time starter, and it has looked good. You go watch him, and the first thing you're going to notice, at least, is the build. Because he has got a freaky long frame that he could honestly put more mass on. But I mean, that long frame is it's gonna do so much for him. It's gonna help him clog passing lanes, stay clean on blocks, and just it'll work for him as a pass rusher. And he displays really good speed, good pursuit speed, and good closing speed. Because probably one of the knocks I'm gonna have on him is he doesn't always take the cleanest routes to the ball carrier, doesn't always take the best angles, sometimes gets lost in the traffic. But his closing speed or his pursuit speed so good that he can overcome that. He can take those less than ideal routes and still hit home. It's really, really, really interesting. And he's really showcased his upside as a pass rusher, as a blitzer this season. 18 pressures and 7 sacks on only 58 pass rushing snaps. That's a ludicrous number. And he has shown, at least in the past, to make splash plays in coverage with that length. 5 pass breakups and an interception last year. Thus far, only has 1 pass breakup. But that's fine. He's not being thrown to that length. And just honestly, his athletic ability is just warding off cute quarterbacks from going his way. However, I will say this is a cat that he doesn't like sitting back in coverage. He always wants to be attacking downfield or downhill. He just looks antsy when he's asked to sit back in coverage, resulting in him being more reactive, whether it's on misdirection, motion, play action, falling for the quarterback's eye candy. He's just more reactive than proactive in that regard. He should add more weight. He's got the frame again to do so I'm not too worried about that. But there are times where he struggles trying to defeat blocks with power. But all in all, man, I see why people are really, really high on him. He would have been in my top 10 linebackers if I had watched him previously, but I just got around to him, and it was a fun watch. It was a fun watch. I think I watched his most recent games: Bama, Tennessee, and South Carolina. Because you best believe I wasn't gonna go back and watch him go against my Hurricanes. That would have hurt my heart too much. And for this final guy, I wanted to give a shout out to someone that I liked the past couple of years. I kind of he's not going to be a highly drafted player, if drafted at all, but he is just a hell of a football player. And it's Eddie Ilafoshu. There we go. Ilafoshu out of Washington. It's Eddie Fon, but we're going to call him Eddie for short, because this guy, first of all, has a great story. And it's been a fight back ever since suffering injury. I mean, we'll just go into the background real quick. Coming in 6'1", 236. He was initially a 2-star recruit at Bishop Gorman High School, so big high school there. And he was actually a walk-on for Washington, where he redshirted his freshman season. He played in all 13 games in 2019, started in the final 3. And then in 2020, he earned a scholarship after starting in all 4 games in the shortened Pac-12 season and made second team all Pac-12. Unfortunately, halfway through the 2021 season, he would have a season-ending shoulder injury. So he only played, or he only had like 5 starts that year. And then in 2022, he tore his ACL in the winter workouts and missed the first 8 games of the season. And when he did return, he was on a pitch count. He only had 84 snaps the remainder of the year. So it was like, man, setback after setback after. Like, that just sucks for a guy who was a former walk-on playing good football. But he's playing great football this season. He has returned to that 2020 form. He truly, truly has. And he is a big part of Washington's success, especially when you look defensively. He is the leader of that defense. Let's kind of go into the actual eval, as he's I would say he's an above average athlete, does a good job of dipping under blocks, maneuvering laterally, and just tackling in general. Missed tackle rate is a little up this season from his career average, but we're talking like his career average is 5%. He's at 7.8%, still a really good number. So not too worried about that. Strong tackler, rarely comes up empty, and is committed to tackling with sound fundamentals. In the run game, he does a nice job of flowing with the action and pushing the play towards the sideline. He plays with a lot of urgency. He'll hunt down the ball carrier. Shows again just that pursuit, that urgency to get to the ball carrier. When he does play he plays in a zone heavy scheme, and in coverage, he does a great job of kind of diagnosing what's going on around him. He has just overall a good feel in zone. Like, his coverage numbers are like, at least his coverage grade for PFF, it's the highest of his career. I mean, you love to see that. You really do. And I mean, if you go watch him, he's a guy that you're never going to see out of place in coverage. You're just not going to see it. And in the locker room, he's a leader and he's a workout warrior. He won the Washington's Iron Husky Award, which sounds cool as hell, in 2021. Now, coming off the big game here against Stanford, 13 total tackles. He had a pressure in there. I believe he had a forced fumble as well. Some of the things you're not going to like about him is he's been just injury-riddled the last 2 years. First the shoulder, then the ACL. Next, he is a bit of a clunky athlete. I don't think he's going to be a guy that tests out all that well. He doesn't always show great play strength. Like, he is a workout warrior. He just needs to kind of translate some of that power to the football field, because rather than engaging with a blocker, he will try to find a way to evade them. And likewise, when he's maneuvering the line of scrimmage, he just rather dodge contact than take on actual blocks, man. He's typically, if he does get engaged, he's just kind of a non-factor. And this season was the first year he played over 300 snaps. And it kind of sucks. He was hurt the last 2 years, and then the Pac-12 had a shortened season in 2020, so he unfortunately just hasn't gotten the opportunity to, but he is this season, which is great to see. I'm just glad that he's kind of back on the map. Where does he fall in this draft, man? I see him probably late day 3. Maybe more than likely, maybe a priority UDFA, but man, dude's just a hell of a football player that's just got that dog in him. He's got that resilience. And I just wanted to give him a shout out here, because everyone's talking about the Washington offense. Let's talk about their defense for a second, because this guy's a big part of that. But that's it for the video. Go ahead, Do that YouTube thing, and as always, until next time, you be easy, my friends. Later.